the moment the season starts, the stakes are high and the challenges mount, and we share that journey with the coaches on a Monday night. In the yellow sash yesterday, a glut of injuries meant the reinforcements and the youngsters carried the load, and the new skipper had a few neat tricks to ensure it was a victorious affair for the Tigers. The red sash got the compulsory response, but it didn't last, and it comes with a high price. So 0 and 2, the Bombers, as things start to get tight. Ben Rutten, welcome back to 360.
G'day, Jared. How are you? Robert?
G'day, Ben.
Damien, Hardwick, nice to have you here.
Gents, good to be here.
Is there a bond between former colleagues?
When we're not playing each other, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good. We're having a good chat upstairs, and yeah, it's good to go over some old stories and see how we're both tracking at the moment.
What do you talk about? Do you talk about what's happening in footy now?
Oh, manly stuff, Robbo.
or stuff that happened years ago? Or are you as intrigued as all of us, of course you are, about the trends of the game at the moment? You're talking about your midfields, for example.
Yeah, it's a little bit different because we've sort of got connections at both clubs. It's probably a little bit more in depth about players and personalities that we both know. So, yeah, a little bit more along those lines than the ins and outs of the game.
And the travails of coaching. So what's the conversation like with James Stewart? When does that happen, Ben? What does a coach ask his player? I
think we just need to put that down as a bit of a brain fade and one of those moments, I think, that he'd like to have a game. I think, it's one of those things. I'm sure he'd like to put it 5 rows back, put it beyond all doubt. So, really unfortunate one for the big Stuz, but... it goes in the brain fade category.
Did he get confused because of the new rules about putting it through with pressure on you? So he's probably tried to disguise just touching it.
Yeah,
so
I'm not sure about
under pressure
in that circumstance, but certainly I think you see it on a weekly basis. The players are, I think they are a bit unsure about what would be classified as deliberate compared to deliberate out of bounds. I think a lot of the players aren't exactly clear on that, which can be frustrating. I'm sure Dimmer gets it at times too in the box. I've heard it firsthand.
Can I ask you, both of you, and first you, Ben, we'll talk about bringing the injury of Zach Merritt, and just talk about the midfields and your midfield from first week to second week, your midfield from last year to this year. You're rated 18th on a lot of categories about scoring and ball movement. What's happened in your midfield group? And of course you're not going to have Zach Merritt for 8 weeks, but even before Zach got hurt, it seems like it's become quite dysfunctional, your midfield gang.
Yeah, well, I think it's a pretty small sample size so far. I mean, we were really poor against Geelong, across the board. All of our players had a really poor performance. So I don't think that gives us a really true measure of where we're at. On the weekend, I think the way we responded and the way we played was much more like the way we want to show up. Certainly wasn't a perfect game by any stretch, and I think we're a club that we're continuing to evolve. We're not the finished product at the moment. So, and our midfield has been stretched a little bit. Dylan Shield pulled out before the game. Now we're going to have to be redesigning a little bit without Zach Merritt as well. So, we'd like to get a little bit further down the track with our season and hopefully build some continuity amongst our midfield.
Especially on the show tomorrow night, he's not coming in. He's having an operation. Is there straight up and down syndesmosis injuries, or is there different sort of levels of syndesmosis injuries?
Yeah, I think the initial thoughts straight after the game was there was some concern about a syndesmosis, but hoping it was on the minor end. But a scan yesterday kind of revealed that no, it does need a bit of a surgery and a tight rope put around it. So that's generally about a 6 to 8 week injury, I think. So it's really unfortunate. I think the last 2 minutes of the game we had Cox with an ankle and Zach as well. So really unfortunate. We're going to be without him for a period of time.
How valuable to get that win yesterday, given the personnel that you were missing headed in? When you're driving in the car, what were you thinking? We're up against it today?
Oh, a little bit, obviously, with the quality of players that we had out. But it's funny, sometimes as a coach, you go to the game excited to see what the young players will inject into your footy club. And it's amazing what youthful exuberance does to your playing group in general and your coaching staff. So, it was a real positive. We obviously were disappointing for a couple of quarters versus Carlton, got blown out of the park in the middle of the ground by, as we're starting to see, a really dominant midfield through Carlton. But I was really proud of the response the boys put in, and it was really from the middle of the ground. Soldo and Nank were outstanding, and Trent Cotchin does what Trent Cotchin does. He led from the front first bounce to also the very last. So it was an impressive win.
So when you go in and you look at the Carlton performance and you're going into this performance, is it tactical? How do you fix the midfield route the week before, or is it attitudinal where you actually got to put it on some of your players and say, right, no, Dustin, Presty is out. We actually need you to stand up. Is it what plays a bigger role, the tactical situation or the responsibility factor?
Yeah, there's a little bit of both. Against Carlton now, our execution of roles at stoppage wasn't to the level that it needed to be. So we had a pretty stern conversation with the playing group on the Monday, let them sort of know in no uncertain terms that's how we play, not what we're trying to do. And the players responded. Every now and then you have a game where it's just not working for you, and a lot of the time it's the simple things that let you down. Ben on the weekend was the goal kicking. Ours the week before was our stoppage, execution and structure.
Yep.
It just wasn't quite to the level that we wanted, and it hurts you in big games, and they're all big games at the moment. So we had a good conversation during the week, and the guys come out and put a better performance on the park on the weekend.
And then what happens then is your midfield can get on top, which gives your forwards a bit more of a sight at the peel, so they're moving a little bit better. Tom Lynch was taking the ball and Noah Bolter.
Oh, come on, tell me, was he good?
I thought he was outstanding.
He was very good on the weekend.
But I thought he attacked the ball more than he has the week before. And I did. I thought, wow, have a look at this. So, talk about the advantages when your midfield's on top, what that does for a Bolter or a Tom Lynch.
Yeah, well, I think what we're seeing now is 6-6-6 is becoming even more important. Centre bounce is becoming even more important. It's always been important, but we're starting to see bigger scores. I think last year the score source jumped to nearly one of the highest, I think, wasn't it? And I think it's certainly probably the most at the moment. So, the value of two rucks, we're really happy with Nank and Soldo and what they can contribute and give you first look at the ball. And I thought our mids got to work on the weekend and gave our forwards a really good opportunity to score.
What's he capable of, Bolter? Seriously.
You'll have to ask Noah, to be fair.
What sort of character is he? I mean, tell us a little bit about him.
Men's had a bit to do with him as well. He's a different...
well, he would have been his defensive case, wouldn't he?
Yeah, it's a bit like Stuz, getting in the brains of these big key position players, which I was one of them. It's not that easy sometimes.
He's look, he can do some things others can't. He's just a marvellous athlete, and he can do some wonderful things. He can kick the ball a long way, but just his ability to stand under the ball and mark it. You can kick to him down the line, and he's just very strong.
There is a line here between honouring the privacy of an individual and the speculation which is running, and I am guilty of it by asking you the question, Damien, but is Dustin Martin considering his future in the game?
I think Dustin's taking his time to figure out what he needs to move forward. And as we've spoken about, he's had a really tough 6 months, none tougher than what he's had to deal with, first with injury, then with the loss of his father. And, he just needs the time to heal. Grief is a thing that it's really like an injury. There's no two ways about it. You have to get some treatment to make yourself heal. And he's just taking the time to do that. His father was incredibly close to him, obviously from a parent point of view, but also his best mate. So it was going to take some time, but and we're just prepared to give him that. He's such an important fabric of a footy club. Like, I sit there and we miss him, there's no doubt, but not on the footy field, but just in the club. He is just an exuberant person, enthusiastic, and every time there's a game being played, I think of the word game and I straight away think of Dustin. Whether it's a game of cricket, basketball in the gym or anything like that, he just brings about a sense of energy that is irreplaceable. So we just miss him from that point of view. But
when did you first notice it? When did the club first notice that effervescent Dustin around the club wasn't quite there? Has it been all the way through, unfortunately, since the death of his father, or has it sort of hit him in the last 3 weeks? It's
probably unfair to speak about Dust, but you think about a person that loses someone, there's good days and bad days, and Dustin was probably no different. So that's probably where I'll leave it.
One last one, sorry, Damien, last one.
This is what's going to happen.
Do you know if he is coming back or not coming back right now?
No, he'll take the time he needs to figure out what he needs.
So you don't. The club doesn't know.
There's no set date.
Okay, thanks.
There's been a lot of discussion around the tactics in your game, how the Lions responded to Merritt and how you responded to Neil. If you had your time over, would you do anything different with Lockie Neal?
Yeah, look, it's a great question, and one that we're constantly, as a coaching group, I'm sure we're, like you guys, Dim, are constantly discussing that. What are the pros and cons? Because there's always a cost whenever you make a move like that to tag. And probably what I would say is I'd like to continue to develop within our playing list the ability to be able to do something like that, whether it be a full-blown tag, but maybe more so of a ability to just close someone out at stoppage for a period of time. And there's no doubt, there's no guarantees that works, mind you. Lachie Neale, he wasn't like he was a spare player. We had players on him and good players as well, and some of our guys, Darcy Parish got his fair share around the ball as well. But there's no doubt Luckie's a star. He's one of the best players in the competition, and he enjoys playing Essendon. So I would like to develop amongst our team the ability to do that from time to time. And
what's the cost, Ben? And Damien, jump in here. I mean, I often hear coaches talk about, it's a system, and if we make it 17 against 17, it's going to disrupt. What is the major negative component of running a tag or a cooler or a stoppage man or a person who runs from contest to contest with a guy? Well, how does it disrupt the team defence?
Well, I think it depends on your style. I mean, there are teams that are more 1v1, so it's potentially a bit easier for teams to be able to play a tagger or a run with role. Other teams, and we're kind of developing more of a system-based game. And the costs are, if we play a designated tagger in the midfield, well, we don't play one of Parish, Shield, Merritt, Stringer as well. So we've got to weigh that up. That's the potential cost. Some clubs are fortunate to have someone who can play in the midfield, be a stopper, but also, be a really productive midfielder as well. So they're the kind of things that we're always weighing up. Certainly the scoreboard plays an impact as well. At three-quarter time, we're down by 22 points. Stoppage had been a score source for us, albeit an inaccurate one. So we're also trying to win the game as well. So we're weighing up, do we take one of our prime movers out of stoppage when we actually need to try and score from either intercept or stoppage to be able to win the game. So they're all the things that we're discussing as coaches, and there's often there's no right answer. That's why they're difficult.
I've sat in the box a couple of times and I hear the stats guy yelling out to the coach. Neale, 27, Neale's had 6 in the last 4 minutes, and the coach yells out to the midfield coach what's going on, and it's quite interesting conversation to hear.
Well, Lachie Neale, I reckon, averages about 45 against us, to be perfectly honest.
He's a gun.
He gets us every time. I reckon if we tag him, he gets 30.
But you didn't run with the tag, did you? Did you have a cooler?
Very, very rarely. We might run, as Ben said, might be around stoppages. Like there's certain players that will hit up at stoppages, and we tried Cripps obviously against Carlton, but it was ineffective. But obviously, when the game was on the line on the weekend, the guy we wanted to keep an eye up was Whitfield. Off the back of stoppage. He's a guy that can really get their game up and going from the back half. So there's certain players you can monitor and have influence over, but then, as Ben said, there's certain situations where it becomes really detrimental to how you want to set up around.
So is that where you use the wingman a lot? I know we're not getting a bit depth in here. You spoke about Pickett's pressure.
Yeah.
And he was outstanding.
He was very good.
He was outstanding. Yep. So do you use the wingman for that role a little bit? Or
probably not as much. There might be stages, but generally you've got players that you can sort of come in and nullify, whether it's a high forward. Most sides will use to sit on someone's stoppage and nullify that guy off the back. But various sides have different avenues. It's probably an area that we, probably like Ben, we haven't got a tried and true formula. We just find someone that's probably not playing that well that might be able to go and limit the effect of a king player, if that makes sense.
What does 0 and 2 mean to you, Ben? Does it change any of the urgency? Does it change any of your thinking heading towards Melbourne and a pretty stiff task this weekend? Yeah,
look, it is. I mean, it's certainly not the ideal start for us in terms of wins and losses, but certainly one that we're not losing any belief about. We're, as I mentioned before, we're not the finished product as a team, and we're going to use the course of the season to continue to improve. And that's kind of the nature of the early part of the seasons. That where there's a small sample size, teams are still working out how the game's going, what their best what their best game style, what their best lineup looks like, and yeah, we've got another really good opportunity this week against Melbourne. You know, we're a team that is aspiring to be like Geelong, Brisbane, Richmond, Melbourne as well, and our guys are really hungry to be one of those teams and to be able to play them in the early stages of the season. Our guys are really looking forward to it, and Melbourne is probably no bigger challenge or opportunity you can get at the moment.
OK, Petrarca's had 38, 39 and 40.
How many's Oliver had?
He's a good player, Clayton Oliver,
Yeah.
but geez, he does some damage. Well, they both do damage.
Yeah, they do.
So everyone will be looking at Eston this week and saying, what is Rutten going to do about Petrarca? A lot of clubs are struggling to find a player to restrict Petrarca, but you have to have a plan.
Yeah,
don't
of course
you?
we do. Yeah, of course we do. And you know, but with these teams, it's like, where do you stop? You know, with some of these.
So where do you
players,
start? Don't worry about where you stop. Do you start with the team defence, or do you go, right, everyone, let's give me your best idea on Petrarca?
Yeah. Look, it's a question that we're going to be having some discussion on. And as I said, we're wanting to evolve that part of our game, and yeah, hopefully we can find a good solution. But you know, like Tim has said, you can't nullify them to. It's an easy to say you can put someone on there and that all of a sudden they get 10 possessions, but it's not the case. They're quality players, and they're able to manipulate. You know, what we're seeing, and I think what we're enjoying about Melbourne at the moment is their selflessness. You know, if Petrarca's getting sat on and not having a great day, he'll work for Oliver and make sure he has a good day. And I think that's what we're seeing out of them and the Richmond over the past 5 years. And these are the things to continually weigh up.
More with our coaches in a moment. Tomorrow night, the premiere of a new series throughout this season, Face to Face. Jonathan Brown with a couple of old teammates, Michael Voss and Craig McRae, as they set out into their new endeavours.
You'll get jacked, Emma.
The Moment, brought to you by PointsBet.
Sometimes it's just the moment of a round. This is the moment of a season. It's the marker of a generation, and I suspect it lives eternal. When we think of Buddy Franklin, we will think of these scenes from Friday night and just how special 1,000 goals is, and what a unique and funny people we are. That's what Aussie Rules looks like to the people of the world. So we go out, we mob our hero, and then we cheer him off the ground. Oh, and by the way, we come back and play the last 6 minutes of the game once all of that is sorted. What did you think watching?
Well, I'm not going to lie, I was staring at the back of my eyelids, to be perfectly honest. I was asleep at this stage, but I saw it the next day and I loved it. I just thought it was unique to our game. But where else are you going to see something like that happen in... it's great for Australia rules footy.
And you played on him, so you've got...
Yeah, I can probably claim about 20 of his 1,000 goals. He's probably got them on me, but that was fantastic. I think the way the game panned out, I thought the anticipation around the game, and I thought the way Buddy handled it was fantastic. I thought it was really first class, and yeah, it's just a question whether we'll see it again. I'm not too sure.
You lost Nick Martin with COVID, West Coast. Jim, I know you care about the national competition. Lost a lot of players through COVID. Do you actually have time in this professional world to think about other teams and feel for them, or you think, I hope we don't get it, we just got to stay on our train tracks?
Yeah, we're probably in a bit better situation than the WA teams at the moment. There was always this risk that it was going to happen. I did feel sorry for Simo, and the same will happen to Freo, I presume, at some stage, having to put together a side. But what I will say is the way that club went about it was first class on the weekend. I thought they did a wonderful job. And it's funny, we had a bit of a discussion about, well, listen, would we, to make it competitive, would we think about offering some of our younger players if they wanted to pick them to play and, to come over it? But
was that a real discussion?
We sort of just had a discussion amongst our coaches, because it'd be great to see young players get experience at the top level if they're not playing, but then you become incredibly competitive with your own boys, I suppose. But yeah, I thought West Coast dealt with it incredibly well.
Have you got contingency planning if you did get hit by not one, but by 14?
Yeah, well, we're all got, kind of supplementary squads that we've been, scrambling to piece together in case the event of this, so we can keep the game going. So there is a contingency planning there, but I'm a bit with Dimmer. I'm not sure. We've had a significant amount of our squad have had it so far. So providing it doesn't go around again, I think we've got a limited risk of it happening, wiping out the whole squad. But I mean, we had a taste of it on the weekend with Nick Martin, played his first game, and then he's out. So he didn't get COVID, but he's a close contact. So it's a shame when he's fit and healthy and cooped up in his house, but that's just the world we live in. So it's
that's got to end, this close contact stuff. It's got to end. If you're crook,
Robert's
you go out.
policy now, is he?
We've had enough. Dimmer, we have had enough. You're a close contact. You've got to sit out for 7 days. Come on. If you're not crook and you haven't got it, get out there and play. Let's get this world back going.
You've got fans here, mate. You'll be all right with that.
My God.
All those in favour. We'll go.
Was it good to see James Hird out on the MCG, back involved in the club yesterday?
Well, I didn't see him or know he was there until someone informed me after the game. It was, it was good. I think he was in Leon's coach's box in the end. Obviously, he's doing some work with GWS. So I completely forgot about it, but then... because I didn't come out on the ground before, but it's great to see him back in the game. Always good to see people who have great knowledge and great contributors to do it.
You played Tex Wagner. Well, you didn't play Tex Wagner. He was the sub. This has caused much conversation. Is it the right thing to do to a debutant?
Look, I think I'm a footy fan as much as I'm a footy coach. And we had a fairy tale story with Nick Martin the week before. 27 touches, 5 goals, and we saw what that did. And then we had the other extreme where, it was unfortunate really for Tex that, he didn't get on the field. But it's a really difficult one, I mean, it's certainly not the ideal. It's not the way we'd want it. But we're also trying to pick the team best we can for that game. And, Tex said today he had the option whether he could play down Geelong in a VFL game or sit there and get the experience of an AFL game. And he wouldn't have changed a thing, So
absolutely,
he's a great kid, and I think just for him to be able to experience a game day, get down there, sit down on the bench, listen to what goes on, it's going to be really important and valuable for him.
Can you answer me this?
What?
Why after half time can't we put the kid on?
Change it from a medical sub just to a sub?
Well, yeah, I think it just doesn't make any sense that you have a perfectly healthy player there sitting there the whole game that can't actually impact. It could be a tactical change. I think it would add something to the game. I don't think it takes anything away from it.
Take it to the Coaches Association?
If you write it, Gil will
Well, it's not exclusive now, is it? You've just spoken about it. It's a good idea, though, Jim.
Nice to have you both here. Thanks a lot.
Good to see you, guys. Good to see you back, brother.
Thank you, Damien.
Ben Rutten and Damien Hardwick with us on Coaches Night. It's Players Night tomorrow. Marcus Bontempelli is going to be with us at the desk. So Jack Revolts with the cracked thumb. We'll check in on him. And Marcus Bontempelli, whose Dogs, they need a win. He'll be with us.
These two sides play an attacking brand of football.
They've got some history, haven't they, in big games?